ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यंकरवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। We'll chant mantra number 4 onwards. अनेजदेकं मनसो जवीयः अनेजदेकं मनसो जवीयः नैनद्देवा आप्नुवन् पूर्वमर्षत् नैनद्देवा आप्नुवन् पूर्वमर्षत् तद्धावतोऽन्यान् अत्येति तिष्ठत् तद्धावतोऽन्यान् अत्येति तिष्ठत् तस्मिन्नपो मातरिश्वा दधाति तस्मिन्नपो मातरिश्वा दधाति। नेक्स्ट मंत्र। तदेजति तन्नैजति तदेजति तन्नैजति तद्दूरे तद्वन्तिके तद्दूरे तद्वन्तिके तदन्तरस्य सर्वस्य तदन्तरस्य सर्वस्य तदु सर्वास्य बाह्यतः तदु सर्वास्य बाह्यतः। Last time we saw there is no other way or no option but to reveal the self through paradoxes. For two reasons. One, the self is free from all kinds of attributes, and it is the very substratum of everything. Since it is free from all kinds of attributes, you cannot reveal it through words directly, for words can reveal only jati, guna, kriya and sambandha. It may talk of some species, talk of some quality, talk of some action, activity or connections. That's all the words can reveal. Since it is neither of them, it is not a direct meaning of the words, and since it is the very substratum of the entire world, and therefore it is revealed as contradiction. Last time I explained to you, like electricity. How can you describe electricity to a person who has not seen the light of the day? He or she is just grown up in Africa, aborigine, doesn't know anything about modern technology. And to that person, he comes here in a city and sees the refrigerator, sees the water geyser. To that person, you can explain or you can say electricity is one that cools and electricity is one that heats up. Because electricity per se is free from any attributes. But of course, it has no jati and guna, but it has a kriya. You put your finger, the kriya takes place, like these modern people telling direct experience of self. So if this fellow wants a direct experience, ask him to put two fingers into plug or connect two live wires on the two fingers, he will have a direct experience. That kriya is there. Anyway, coming back to this, you cannot explain to him, and therefore it has to be revealed through contradiction. Contradiction is two ways, either from the standpoint of the gadgets, the electricity, the gadgets that you talk about, refrigerator and geyser, or electricity by itself, and from the standpoint of the gadgets, you can say that. Like you can say electricity is the one that heats up everything, and at the same time it is free from any heat. It is not heat and its own nature. So twofold contradiction, upaditaha, and comparison or the statement from the standpoint of upadhi and from the standpoint of vastu. Then it is said, it is like this. And therefore, Shastra says here, tadejati anejadekam manaso javiyaha nainad deva apnuvan purvamarshat tadhavato anyan atteti tishtat tasmin napo matarishva dadhati. Devaha na apnuvad. Why? Purvamarshat. It reaches before. Here, devaha words is used in the sense of sense organs. Last time we have seen this. Eyes, ears, nose, etc. are like devaha. Dyotanatmakatvat devaha. What is deva? That which is shining, that which is illumining. Your ears illumine my words for you. Your eyes illumine the forms and the color for you. You see the color, you see the forms that are revealed by eyes. So they are also called as devaha. Okay? Nainad deva apnuvan purvamarshat. That sense organs cannot illuminate, because sense organ can reveal or illumine only Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha. Fivefold attributes. This consciousness being devoid of any attributes of Shabdadi, etc., cannot be revealed by sense organ. And at the same time, it is the very Satta Spurti Pradata. It is the consciousness because of which Eyes become conscious of the objects. Ears become conscious of the words. Nose become conscious of the smell. Nose itself has no capacity to have a smell. Ears itself doesn't have a capacity to hear unless it is enlivened by consciousness. Unless it is as though made sentient by the consciousness. And therefore, Nainad Deva Apnuvat Purvamarshatu. The Indriyas cannot illumine them, and since it runs ahead, it overtakes all, it runs ahead of it, and remaining stationary, it overruns all other runners. Now, next one is Tasmin Napo Matarishva Dadhati. Matarishva Tasmin Apaha Dadhati. Tasmin Atmasat Tattve Sati, Brahmani Sati. That because of that Brahman, Matarishva Apaha Dadhati. When we started this Upanishad, then itself I had told you, these words, especially in these Upanishads, have a different meaning other than the Vachyartha. One need a teacher to understand the exact meaning of these words. Here, Tasmatarishva means Vayu. Vayu means prana. So Matarishva is used in the sense of prana. Not individual prana. True, individual prana is responsible for all kriyas, all activity. Kriya Shakti is prana because it is made of Rajoguna at an individual level. But at the samashti level, prana is Hiranyagarbha. That Hiranyagarbha means which gives Shakti to everything in the creation. Various forces, various jivas can act because of that prana. So samashti kriya shakti, samashti gnana ichha shakti, that is Matarishva. And that we call it as Hiranyagarbha or Brahmaji also. Mr. Brahmaji, Brahmalok Adhipati. That Brahmaji is called Hiranyagarbha or Matarishva. That Hiranyagarbha or that Matarishva is Apaha Dadhati. It is giving Apaha. Matarishva Apaha Dadhati. But how? By itself? No. Tasmin. Being blessed by Brahman, blessed by consciousness. That is, then only Brahmaji can give Apaha. Now, what does it mean Apaha? That is again, you have to interpret this word properly. Apaha here means karma phala. Apaha means karma, phalam. Apaha literally means water. Apaha also means ahutaya, oblations. And also in an implied meaning that karma phalam. So Brahmaji gives karma phalam. Hiranyagarbha gives karma phalam. How does it give karma phalam? It has a capacity to give karma phalam only because tasmin sati. Because that is there. Being, as I said, blessed by Brahman, gifted by sort of enlivened by Brahman, then only it can give karma. Tasmin apaha dadhati. Means the movement of all jada as well as chetana. You know, jada padarthas as well as chetana padarthas. Jadas also move. We think they don't move at all, but there is a vikara taking place in stone also. Stone is changing. So all that changes that takes place, all that vikara takes place, that is possible because of Brahmaji, and that Brahmaji can do this because it itself has a power which is a borrowed power. Like eyes can see the objects, as I told you, eyes reveal for you the forms and the color, but then eyes can reveal only when it is blessed by the consciousness. Therefore, it is called as chakshusha chakshuhu. It is an eye of the eye. Shrotrasya shrotram. It is the ear of the ear. Manaso manoyat. It is the mind of the mind. All that is said because even the mind can think only when it is blessed by the consciousness. So also Brahmaji, who is Jaganniyanta for this kalpa, who sustains the world, all the natural forces work because Brahmaji, it is because of Brahmaji. But Brahma or Hiranyagarbha itself gains this Shakti or power when Tasmin Sati. Tasmin means Brahmani, that Brahman, when it is blessed by Brahman, Brahmaji can do this. Again, the Shruti continues the same thing in the next mantra. Look at the mantra number 5. Tadejati tannhaijati, tadejati tannhaijati, taddhure taduvantike, taddhure taduvantike, tadantarasya sarvasya, tadantarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasya bahyatah, तदु सर्वास्य बाह्यतः तदेजति तन्नैजति तद्धूरे तद्वन्तिके तदेजति तन्नैजति तद्धूरे तद्वन्तिके तदन्तरस्य सर्वस्य तदु सर्वस्यास्य बाह्यतः तदंतरस्य सर्वस्य तदु सर्वस्यास्य बाह्यतः. Look at the translation. Shruti says, Tad ejati. That vastu which was revealed in the previous mantra, ejati, eja, kamba, moves. It's active. It's full of motion. And then it says, Tannaijati. No, it doesn't move at all. Tadejati, Tannaijati. Taddure. That Brahman or that Vastu is very far. Oh, that means I have to reach Brahman, I have to go to Brahman, etc. Tadu antike. It is the closest. It is the nearest. The easiest to reach. Though it is farthermost, at the same time it is the nearmost. Tadu Tadantarasya sarvasya tadu bahya. Antarasya sarvasya. Sarvasya antara. It is inside everyone. You know, it is inside everyone, that vastu, at the same time, that's outside of everything. Tadu antarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasya asya bahya. Of all these, it is outside also. Now, same thing, in a way, if you look at the previous mantra and look at this mantra, the fourth mantra, the first word is anejadekam manaso javiyah. Ejat moves. Negative is anejat. It doesn't move. And here also, tadejati tannaijati. It moves and it doesn't move. So if you look at this, there appears lot of repetition. And there is a repetition in Shastra. True, to repeat is a dosha. Our acharyas were very disciplined. Even if you study Shankaracharyaji's Bhashyam, he doesn't use a single extra word. When he quotes some Upanishad mantra, he just quotes that relevant 2 or 3 words, and iti, and then says this Upanishad, that is mentioned, that's all, as a reference. It's so disciplined and so choicest of the words Shankaracharya uses. You can see the mastery. What to talk of rishis? So it's a dosha to repeat. Here it is not only repetition but synonyms. So also in Bhagavad Gita, like a couple of famous verses, if I may quote here, Najayate mriyate va kadachit. It is not born, najayate, namriyate. In the same shloka, third line is Ajo nitya shashvato yam purana ajaha. And first line is najayate, ajaha. Namriyate, nitya. They are all synonyms. Shabdataha punaruktihi, arthatascha punaruktihi. There is a repetition of the words and there is repetition of meaning also. Previous mantra said it doesn't move, and here it says it's move. Why Shastra does it? If it is a dosha, why Rishis did it? And why Bhagavan himself did it? The third chapter, etc., second chapter, etc. Then they say, when you are in a teaching, repetition is not a dosha for 2 reasons. One, the vastu is so subtle. Being subtle, you require an extra subtle intellect. Drashyate tvagraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshini. You require a very subtle intellect. In absence of which, I have seen these people. When you teach them and you think that, what a class I taught, it must be very enlightening or revealing, then nothing has gone in this. The fellow asks such a question that you feel committing suicide. Like Swami Dayanji saying a joke. This fellow called a renowned musician for chamber music, very great singer, chamber singing. He paid very much and he said, you have to sing at my home for my limited guest. It's sort of a treat. You can have personal interaction and then you can give your farmaish, your wish, and he may fulfill like that. And this fellow, being the one who had invited him, had given him a lot of money for chamber singing and had thrown a party. So naturally he would sit in the front. And he was an Indian classical singer, kept on singing one or two ragas. And this fellow got so engrossed in raga, in the melody. He kept telling encouraging words, wah, wah, ah, ah, like that expressions. And he was right in front of the musician. Musician thought he is the real one who is enjoying. And he also poured his heart with all variations and all that and sang so well. And the thing was over. And especially when you chant the classical raga Hindustani, it takes 15-20 minutes, one raga. So after 20 minutes, this fellow had a big clap and everybody said, wow, wow. And out of his over enthusiasm, the musician gave a choice to that sponsor. What would you like to hear now? Tell me. This fellow was so dumb. Forget about the notes of the raga. He didn't know the names of raga. He could remember only one name, Malkons. Then with the humility, he said, Panditji, sing Malkons. Panditji said, that singer said, is there a swimming pool here? This fellow said, why? I have a pool. Why you want? He said, I don't know swimming and I want to jump and commit suicide. I sang Malkos for 20 minutes. You kept doing wah 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 wah. And now you are telling me, Panditji sing Malkos. Sometimes you get some listeners in Vedanta class also. And then you curse yourself. It's unfortunate that I have a river across, but I cannot commit suicide there because I know swimming. Had I not known, I would have considered that option. So you require some subtlety to see the things. Honestly, every time I heard Swami, same topic, I could see the subtle differences. I could see the subtle creativity. And I could see it was better than the previous one. And people come also and tell me, Swamiji, when you were talking Tattvabodha, it was not bad, good, but now in Ishavasya you are much better. Swamiji is not better. Swamiji's teaching is not improvised. Your understanding is improvised. Because of listening to Shastra, your understanding or your clarity is more. And therefore you feel this is a better class. Swamiji talked better, but it is not better. It is the same thing. Coming back to this, one needs subtlety. And in absence of that, Shruti needs to repeat the verse. Therefore it is Durvegneya. In Gitaji also it is mentioned, Kinchit Shabdataha Artataha Punaruktam. True, there is a repetition, but the Vastu, the thing that is revealed is subtle most. And student may not have that necessary subtlety, and therefore it needs to be repeated. And Shruti does repetition. Here, another meaning it gives. Shankaracharya very rightly, beautifully writes here while introducing the mantra. The mantranam jamita asti iti purva mantroktam api artham punareva aha. No? Jamita nasti. Jamita means alasyam, laziness, sloth, inaction. Shruti doesn't have inaction. It is full of enthusiasm. It is full of activity, all because of compassion. Okay? For a rishi or for a teacher, Vastu is so clear like a daylight. The whole problem, even a samsara problem, even day-to-day life problem, what we call it, all these problems are because of ignorance, wrong thinking. It is all because of subjectivity. It is all because of our likes and dislikes. And the teacher has objectivity. Shruti has an objectivity. And Shruti doesn't see the problem. Or at least Shruti can see that problem as a difficult situation. And if you are objective, you don't blow it off. So there is problem of ignorance, non-thinking or wrong thinking. And ultimately, aham dukhi, aham samsari, aham alpa, that I am limited, I am dukhi, I am samsari, world is too much for me, etc. That fundamental problem is also born out of self-ignorance only. And any problem born out of ignorance, and it's like the child who blows it out of proportion. You have a compassion. The person, the wise person, the knowledgeable person has nothing but compassion. This person is unhappy because of ignorance. There is a compassion. Like baby crying for the balloon, can't accept that balloon can burst. It is not objective to that. And the father is so enlightened, he tells baby, after all, it's a balloon. One day it has to burst. The wise man's statement. And it's objectivity, which is true. But it took so many years to appreciate that. Whereas in life, for us, this simple thing to appreciate, it took so many years for this person what to talk of appreciating the self, which is different, which is subtlest, and it takes a lot of time. And therefore, Shruti needs to repeat. And Shruti repeats it out of compassion and also out of understanding that Vastu being very subtle, it needs to be repeated again and again. So there is no jamata, there is no sloth, there is no laziness in the Shruti. It is always willing to reveal it, and it is just because of compassion. Now, again reminding you, this tadejati, tannaijati, taddure, tadvantikecha. This contradiction is from Aupadhika standpoint, from the standpoint of Upadhi, and Nirupadhika from its own standpoint. Swarupataha Vehvarataha. One is from Vehvarik perspective, the Brahman is described or is revealed, and Nirupadhikataha, Brahman as such, what is its real nature? Swarupataha, it is revealed. And that too being appears to be contradictory. Please understand here that Nirupadhika and Sobhadhika, Westerners may not know, but in India it's a big issue. Nirupadhik Brahman is greater or Sopadhik Brahman is greater. All these Ramakrishna Shiva worshippers, they think that they argue, hair-splitting arguments they give, that this formful Lord is better than the formless Lord. So Sopadhik Ishvara is the ultimate, and Nirupadhik is not the ultimate. That kind of comparison they make it. And they say, please understand, it is one Vastu. Sopadhik also is Brahman, and Nirupadhik also is. The comparison is possible that Sopadik is better than Nirupadik only when there are two things. When there is only one Vastu, there is no question of comparison. You cannot compare anything like it, like our Valmiki ji writing, He says, Gagano Gaganopamam Sagara Sagaropamam. What a simile, or what can be compared with ocean? Nothing. Ocean is like ocean. Then what is a comparative thing available for space? Akasha. Akasha is like Akasha. And then this, how was the battle of Rama and Ravana? Can we compare with anything? He says, Sagara, Sagaropamam. How is ocean? Ocean is like an ocean. How is Akasha? Akasha is like Akasha. How was the battle of Rama and Ravana? Rama Ravana. It was like Rama Ravana battle only. It was such a great and fierce battle that you cannot compare it with any other battle. Similarly, the question which is better or which is superior, Sopadik or Nirupadikam, the question is plausible only when there are two. When it is only one, the comparison is not possible. So it's wrong or improper to say Saguna Brahma is superior than Nirguna, or to say Nirguna is superior than Saguna. Okay, first, there is the first and the foremost thing. And again, we have another issues. We compare further. In Sopadika, the Ishvara with the forms Rama and Krishna and Shiva, etc., people again argue, no, Shiva is ultimate. The other guy says, no, Krishna is ultimate. Then Shiva. It is all Sopadik Brahman. And then again, Shiva and Krishna you compare. And say Krishna is better. Further they say, no, Laddu Gopal is better. And then Krishna has three forms, Then one baby Krishna, and teenage Krishna, and ultimately Dwarkadhish Krishna, the one who was the king. No, you should worship only baby Krishna, Laddu Gopal. That is ultimate. That is superior. What nonsense. There are nothing more than one. That is Advitiya Vastu. Where is the question of superior inferior? It is one Vastu. You cannot say that. But then people have this thing. So, the Sopadikam, when it assumes or it invokes its creative power Maya, and then it itself manifests as the entire world, and therefore the entire world and its activities are imputed upon Brahman. It is said Brahman is like this. But then the manifestation in many is caused by Maya, which is mithya, which is not real. So to negate or to show the unreality of this Sopadika world or the Sopadika Brahman, it is revealed as Nirupadik also. It is shown as Nirupadik as well. Tadejati tannai jati. That ejati, same thing. It moves. It moves means this is from the Vyavara. Keeping in mind is a perceptible or available world, experiential world. The world that you can experience. Keeping that thing in mind, it is talked about. tadejati, it moves, it modifies. So any modification, any change is because of Brahman. Any movement in space, movement in time, and movement in becoming, all the movement is because of Brahman. Why? Please understand. The movement is in the upadhi, not in the vastu. Upadhi moves. Therefore, it appears that it is moving. But vastu itself doesn't move at all. Vastu itself doesn't have any activity at all. Therefore, he says, tad ejati, tannaijati. The movement of galaxies and the stars and Milky Ways onwards, right up to movement of our body and inside body, all bacteria and WBCs. And our WBC's movement, that is more moving for us because it wards up the corona for us. WBC being fighter, they are doing these things. All movement, from Vyasti to Samasti, is Brahman. Even the movement in terms of karma phala that you come across day-to-day life, that is also Brahman. Meaning thereby, all movement that is there is possible only because of Brahman. Like solar watch, solar geyser, solar heater, or or any other gadget solar. So whatever it does, solar geyser heats up the water. So heating up is done by Brahman. Solar wristwatch shows the time. Time movement is also because of Brahman. By itself, the gadget is inert. Again, coming back to that good example, an aborigine coming to the world and wants to take away that white cupboard or orange cupboard or brown cupboard because things are cool inside, and he comes from the jungle where the temperature is very high and he likes some cold juices, etc. He says, let me take this cupboard in Africa jungle so that I can have cool. To which you have to say that fridge or white box can cool the things because of electricity. So electricity is ultimate cooler, even water cooler or vegetable cooler. Ultimate cooler is electricity. To show that it says tadejati. All the movements of karma phala, movements of samashti is because of it. And it says tannai jati. It doesn't move at all. Because two reasons. Since it is all pervasive, where can it move? It is like the movements of the waves in the ocean. All the wavy movements of the wave, wavy movements of the waves is because of ocean. That is H2O. Therefore, it moves. That movement is talked from the standpoint of the wave only, upadhi, not reality. And at the same time, we say it doesn't move at all. No, tadejati, tannejati, taddure, taduantike, tadantarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasya bahyata. That all the movement is because of, say, by saying ejati, naijati. That means what? It moves in spite of not moving. Correct? Nayajati. Even though it doesn't move, but it moves. That means whatever is a movement is mithya. It is rose, but it is not rose. That is mithya rose. Reality, there is no rose. Similarly, what appears to be moving, it moves, whereas it doesn't move. So, Jagataha Mithyatvam is revealed here. Then, next verse, next half of the verse, Taddure Tadu Antike. It is far, very far, and Antike. It is near also. Okay? It is not far. The movement is like the movement of the waves in the ocean. Actually, there is no movement, but appears to be moving. Similarly, here also, it is moving and at the same time not moving. That not movingness implies the movement is mithya. Taddure tadu antike cha. It is dure. Somewhere else it is said is durad duram. It is farther than the farthest. That is how it is. Why it is so? Because it is very substratum of all movement. It is there everywhere. It is the real, the closeness. When you say it is far, then there is opposite near also. This far and near are in a way relative. Sometimes it is nearer to you, even though it may be far off in distance. And sometimes it may be nearer to you in terms of distance, but you may be far off it psychologically. And you cannot connect. So also, he says, that which is far off and that which is nearest means it is neither of. It's mithya. This antike, it is nearest. That is also relative. Far is also relative because compared to USA, Sri Lanka is nearer. And compared to Sri Lanka, Delhi is nearer. Compared to Delhi, Ahmedabad is nearer. This near keeps shifting from, it shifts because of where one wants it to be. Where one is, then you can see the movement. So also, it says Atma has no movement. Tad dure, tad antike. It is far and at the same time it is closest. The closeness again is implied in a sense. It is not closer so you keep look at it. It is so close that it no more is an object, but it is a very subject, I. That is antike. Near one. It is the one who is nearer to me. And that is the self. That nothing can be farther than the self. Okay. Taddure tadu antike cha tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha. That is inside everything, antarasya sarvasya, and at the same time, bahyataha, it is outside everything. That is inside of everyone, and at the same time, it is not the self of anyone. That's a very contradiction. We will see that in next class tomorrow. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।